Alright, it's 9 November. These are setups for 10 November and going to the week of 10 November. So just we'll go over the S&P. S&P continues to be strong. Had a little bit of a from last week. I was talking about looking for some potential pull-in. We got about a half a day pull-in last week. Got short, but it quickly reversed and covered. It just, this market still seems like it definitely wants to go higher, and that's the key. It's held all the support levels it had to, and then it keeps putting pressure, going higher. It's worked off the McClellan overbought condition just slightly. It's come off there, which is a good sign, I guess. But I definitely don't think that there's any momentum. Even if we keep ticking higher, I just don't think it's gonna be one of these momentum trades higher. Though I've been known to be wrong. So just for the fact that we are kind of technically still kind of overbought. So it's tough to be buying these new highs and getting those follow through. But again, the pain trade, it continues, and I think the key here has been to be in some quality names, quality stocks who've had some stock specific strength, relative strength. Microsoft, Apple, Yahoo, Baba. I mean, these are just to name a few that have been strong. There's a lot of other stocks that have been strong, and being that it's earnings season, it's been quite obvious which ones have put up good numbers. Those continue to be strong, and those are the ones you really want to have this portfolio approach and kind of just hold those positions and hold them against being short the weak stocks. Basically covering your covering the beta or hedging your beta in what you're long. So stocks that have been weak, Twitter is definitely comes to mind. Facebook has sort of been somewhat weak, but maybe firming up going into this week. We'll see. So that's been the plan of action, if you will. So going into this week, like I said, who knows? I'm out of. I think that's still the way to play it, and we'll see what happens. Going into this week, again, Friday was pretty strong. Had a chance to it looked like it might have rolled over, and they just turned it right around and closed. Near the about near the open. So again, we'll see what happens going into this week. Now, on a weekly, just let me show this. Put this up quick. Again, even though we've had this V bottom and we're like it's impressively some potentially overbought. I think in the weekly though, I still have these blue bars, which means that hey, we're still in a bullish, a market buy, if you will, off these market extreme in here. So I think again, the strategic. At the strategic level, on the weekly is sort of driving this boat and driving this train to new highs. So again, I mean, look at that volume that happened on this washout. So a lot of people sold. Look at that, a lot of people sold in here. Just got the hell out. Said, "Hey, man, I'm it's been a great bull run. I'm out of it, man." And they just got the fuck out. Probably, we got some people who got short. Hedge is one that's been, it's just one of many that have been ultra bearish the market, and just, too bad they don't trade real money. They'd be out of business. Anyway, so we'll see if how far this has to go. Again, the Nasdaq actually looks. I do have some, hey, somewhat overbought areas in here, but again, it had this gap up, kind of looked like it wanted to fade in here, and then it firmed up. Now we have some pretty nice consolidation right above. If you look at these prior highs as with big resistance that we gapped up above, and we've pretty much held above those levels all week. We pierced below it just one day and came right back. So I think the key for the Nasdaq is last week's high, and see if that can get taken out. And if it can, it's just going to squeeze these people, because all these professionals who got short in here, or who sold or whatever, they're not buying. They haven't bought up here yet. I mean, they may have. I think some. Just like we were looking for somebody to blow up in this move lower, I think you might get somebody. You're getting really squeezed pretty hard if we do break higher. So we'll see how that plays out this week. Again, I'm not saying, hey, I'm super bullish, but in fact, for a momentum trade, it's really not there. I don't think, just for the fact that we are kind of at the oscillators in somewhat overbought territory, it's tough to be buying new highs, because the market is kind of volatile intraday. It's tough to hold a position without taking a little bit of heat. So again, being in the portfolio approach and in the strong stocks, I think, is the way to play it. Junk bond, again, this is something I've been watching for quite a while. Still in this little downtrend. It definitely had that reversal as well, and it's kind of leaking a little bit lower here. The key here is the spread ratio versus the treasuries is higher spread, but not as high as it was in this move. In this down move here, when I have these green dots, means we're not in any danger situation short term with this spread. So the key here is watching this hold and maybe leaking here and breaking the downtrend and getting the high yield. Break that downtrend. I think that'll help equities trade higher going into the end of the year. Russell, which has been the bastion of pain, is actually firming up quite well above these downtrend lines here. So I think the key is to watch this going into the week, and watch if they take out last week's high. Kind of corresponds with this high right here. It would be pretty impressive, and again, that just tell me that this thing may be ready to maybe not explode higher, but start ticking higher, and looking to take out the highs of July, and if that happens, it might have somewhat clear sailing going into the end of the year, which will frustrate many of the shorts, because this is what they've been hanging their hat on as far as weakness. So just definitely something to keep an eye out for this week. So sorry about that long, kind of had diarrhea of the mouth there, but going into this week, these are the setups I'm looking for, stocks I'll be looking for. TWTR, UFS. Again, not the most liquid stock. I mean, it trades roughly 500,000 to 1 million shares a day, so it's not the worst thing. But this is a 200-day right here, and it's kind of been resistance. Had this nice up move, came in and kind of held higher. Now it's leaking back up. I think it's definitely worth a shot above 41.5. Which is this high here, and then see if they can pop this thing. So that's one I'm looking for. Tableau software data. So they had a nice gap here. Friday they popped back below but came right back, which was very impressive. We had some good volume on that gap day, so I'd be looking to be buying above Friday's high and see if they can't go to this 88.5. So that's one to look at. And when I'm looking for something like this, I'm really, if a stock that's actually that has is almost the poster child for something like this is Parker Hannifin. So if you notice, they had this up gap in here, kind of came in, and then and again, it's almost exactly like this data setup, right? Gapped up, they came in, but it held, it definitely held the majority of the gap. We had this, then you had, it took out the gap days low and then reversed, and then the key was to buy above this day right here. In this case was 117ish. Okay, took it out, closed higher, everything's great, and this is unexpected here. I don't even remember what this was. Maybe a upgrade or so, but that's like, that's pretty impressive. And then it just kept, look at that, kept ticking higher, kept ticking, no real momentum intraday, but just ticking higher. And this is where we are in Parker Hannifin, just almost at the year's high here. So I still hold this one, and this is like I said, the poster child for the potentially for something like data. So that's something I'll be looking for. Solar winds. I know First Solar had a bad day on Friday, but this thing's been held in quite well. I don't even know if this is a solar stock but I think it is. Obviously, solar winds kind of makes sense that it is. But again, it's had this big gap day, big impressive day, all this volatility, but now it's kind of consolidating here. So it may be a shot above this 49 level, maybe to try to make another squeeze higher. That's pretty impressive, because that's gonna take it back to these highs from 2013 potentially. So that's something on my radar. Is this solar winds. Again, I talked about this one in my which was a setup of last week. So again, not the greatest intraday trading stock. It's kind of a little shitty stock, but something to keep an eye out. If it breaks 53.25, maybe worth a shot, especially if we get some volume coming in. And I'd say a poster child for something like this is CRS from last week. This was actually a stock that I've been watching. Bought on this day. This day right here was it broke above this high. Sold it, bought it back, and then this level here, this above 50.75 was a big level to buy it. And Friday definitely had a nice move. So again, that's something somewhat similar to the pattern to this one. This isn't, I don't even know if I'm going to take, I don't even know why I mentioned this one. But this is sort of like the data. You had this up gap, and then broke that low on Friday, but closed higher, so it might be worth a shot above 25 and change. So what I don't like that much about it, it's been such a big downtrend here. I really like these patterns when they're actually sort of above a downtrend. If you see here, right now we're clearly below the 200-day, we're clearly below this downtrend, so it's a little bit of a, if I was short this stock, I'm not going to be too worried that much if we take a Friday's high. I may get concerned if we get above 27, but that's 2 points from Friday's high, so it could get messy. So it's something I'll be watching, but not an A+ setup by any means. All right, on the short side, I already mentioned Twitter in my weekly review from last week. I'll be looking to maybe short this below 39.70 for eventual move down to 35. VMware, looking for a break of 83 to trade back to this 80. Price line actually has a little bit of a level here. It definitely had a fundamental shock in the weak side, and might be worth a shot below 1080 to go short. Facebook, if we break, below this little flag, if you will, break below Thursday's low, worth a shot to go short. Now again, just like I was the NDLS on the long side was in a A+ setup. Facebook isn't really an A+ setup either, just for the fact that, just for the inverse reason, this thing has been very strong stock this year, and it's definitely still in an uptrend, so very short term it has been weak because of the earnings, but I mean, if you break it out a little bit further, go to the weekly, whatever, it's just a little kind of a monster stock. So if it breaks below Thursday's low, maybe worth a shot getting short. But the inverse trade would be buying above 77 and looking for to close this gap here, and then maybe at that point you'd have to say, okay, maybe this thing wants to close on the highs going to the end of the year. So again, something to keep an eye out for, one way or the other. Netflix, again, has had a pretty impressive move off the lows here, this gap lower. So I think, it's not completely repaired. I mean, because you still have a pretty big gap left over here. So I think if they do take out these 375, 376, 375, maybe worth a shot to go short, and then get some sort of retrace back down into here somewhere. Even if it goes 50% of that move, we're talking 360, right? So that's worth a shot short. And that's pretty much it that I have right now going into the week. Stocks that I'm looking at potentially. I mean, I think I've been long Apple. I sold a little bit here, just under 109 when it broke below. But I mean, it's been holding up above this 10. It's for the most part holding this 108 area. I mean, I think the low of the week last week was 107.70 or so, but pretty impressive considering this move. This is basically just everyday, just like water torture higher. Kind of had this little bit of a blowout day, and then it only pulls in. What a point, 2.5 points from the high. Which is pretty impressive, and then Friday kind of looked like it wanted to leak, broke this little, if you looked at it in the intraday, it was a little downtrend that sort of was like that, and it kind of broke above, I think the level was like 108.75 or so, and it kind of broke above it, and basically closed around 109. So this is something I think might be worth looking for another move to take out these 110s. Again, I think if you bought it above, which I did, this was again a very similar trade to the you have a gap up higher, breaks above this little downtrend area, holds it pretty well. The key was to buy it above this 103, and and just hold it, and just hold it for the right, at this point it's like hold it, try to hold it as best you can going into the end of the year. I think that, as long as the market doesn't completely fall out of bed, this stock should continue to trend higher. I have a Fibonacci target of this thing, roughly 115, so we'll see if we can get there in the next week or two. That would be still a pretty good move from here. So this is on my radar. Again, the Microsoft, I still hold some of that, so we'll see if that can continue. Yahoo's another one that I hold a little bit of. It's a very similar trade. I basically bought it above this 43 area with this nice gap, earnings gap, above a downtrend, above moving averages. It's just definitely worth a shot to be long this, and it just continues to just be a monster. Unisys is another one that's sort of the same vein, gapped up here. It had a couple days of just nice tight action, and the key was to buy above here. It's above the moving averages, and look at that monster move in this stock. So that's been, the key is to be long stocks like this, and then take your calculated shorts, if you will, and the stocks that are relatively weak, like Twitter and that's just one that VMware. Maybe go back to that. Take a shot at that as well. That's all I got. Oh, I'm sorry, I got one more. Bristol Myers. This has been pretty, for Bristol Myers, this is an outrageous move. And this is a drug stock that's basically starting to be valued or trading more like a biotech stock, and I think it has been their strategic in their strategic vision to really be more like a biotech company than almost like a new age biotech company, not some fly by night biotech, but sort of be like the Gileads and the Amgens and the Biogenetics. So this is something to keep an eye out going into this week. I bought a little bit of position on this day here. We'll see if this, I think the 59 is going to be a level that if they can try to take it out, that would be, that's definitely a new high territory for the year, and that would be like multi-year high for this stock as well. So it might be worth a shot to buy some if it breaks this little flag here. That's potentially happening. Buy some of that and see if they can take it up to 60 plus. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.